All right, thanks for joining me today on Discovering My Dividends, and I'm the 1% investor. And I want to share with you what has been going on with my trading today and what my stock of the day is. My strategy is working overtime today, and it's all about compounding. So essentially, yeah, the more you compound, the better you do. With my strategy anyway. So I'm not an advisor, so anything I'm showing you here is not advice. Go see an advisor if you need advice. If you use anything from here, make sure you do your due diligence, make sure it fits for your portfolio. First one, I'm going to start with a BDT. Now, these are on the Toronto Stock Exchange. I only do Canadian stocks because with my broker, I don't pay fees on Canadian stocks or ETFs. At this point anyway. So, I just had a kind of a thing where I found out they stopped with my cash account, or they used to call it a cash account, it's checking account, and they changed some stuff they were doing, which I liked, and now I'm just crossing my fingers they don't change the way they do trading, because I really like it. It's really good, and I definitely recommend it for anybody who's new. I do have a link down below if you want a new broker. So as of right now, no fees for what I trade. That was a little bit of an offshoot. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to start here with NPI, Northland Power Inc. on the Canadian, Toronto Stock Exchange, Canadian stock. And you can just see for the day, it's pretty flat, but I've traded it like 4 times, and 3 times I've sold it. So I've got 4 buys, 3 sells. From this drop, and here's why it caught my attention. Oh, you can't even see it here. Let's go to the week. It's going along pretty flat for a week, and then just crashes 25%. That was my ding 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 moment, and away I went, and that was good. Now this other one, BDT, it was Bird Construction. And you can see for the week, it had a sudden drop, and I bought it near the low there and sold it. Now, with both these stocks, I got a little bit more than my 1% because I bought them and I thought, I'm going to see if they bounce to see if I can get like a little bit more. So this one I got like 1.5%, and then I sold it, and NPI, I think I got 2.5%. I should have hung on to BDT a little bit longer, but I mean, if you look at NPI for the day, it went up and then it came back down. So it's kind of the one I haven't sold yet. I sold and I bought back in. It was a little bit higher, and it's never kind of gotten back to that point. In fact, it's gone back to a point where I'm like, hey, I want to buy in again. So these are my 2 stocks of the day. And the reason I do like stocks like this is if you look, this one, NPI, where it came down to is like the 1864. Well, I mean, it's had 1935 as a high, way down to 16 as a low within the year. So it's like bypassed most of its gains. And usually there's a bounce, right? There's usually a bounce of some kind, not always. And if you don't hit the bottom, like this is where you're grabbing the falling knife, right? And when it drops 25%, you got to start thinking it's got to be close to its low. So I took a chance, and it worked out. We still have one more share to sell. I feel like that's not going to be a problem. Might take me a little while for it to bounce back a little bit here. When I did the NPI, I looked at the stats for value. It had dropped down below what the value of the stock was, where it was slightly higher than what it should have been before. And so it was kind of went past that comfort range, that kind of gray area, and down into this is a good buy. And Bird Construction was, if I go 5-year, you can see it was down like $7 and then up to like $29, $30. It was way too high in my mind, and it had gone up really quickly. So I've been watching this one for 2-3 years, probably 2.5 years, and then it had this other crash here. When was that? That was August 2025. went from 30 down to 23, and now it's gone, 31 down to 25. I knew this one was just feeling too high in my mind. Anyway, I mean, I shouldn't say I know, but I was watching going, I don't understand where all this pricing is coming from. Nonetheless, when it had this big drop, I went, okay, I think it's been ready. And then I looked, and it had been kind of sliding, and then a big drop. And I checked the numbers again, and of course, this one was in kind of that value range again, whereas before I felt like it was overpriced. Now it was slightly underpriced, and I thought, well, I think this is a good time to buy in, and I did, and it worked out. So this doesn't happen all the time, but this is definitely what I'm shooting for, is to have this quick buy and sell. And when you find these opportunities, you got to go in, with, some idea that there's still risk, because they might still go lower, and they may not bounce. They may just sit there. So you might be holding this stock, and then it, it's not going anywhere. And obviously it had a big drop because somebody's dumping it, and they're dumping it for some reason. Now, has the market overcorrected? That's the question. And are you buying it at the bottom, or are you buying it in the middle of that drop? And how long are you gonna have to wait for it to gain that value? And is it gonna regain that value? So again, when you do the stats and you analyze it and you go, I feel like this has dropped below what its actual value is, I think it's time to jump in. It takes a little bit of courage to do it, and because my account's so small right now, the courage is really easy. If I had say $100,000 and I went, I'm going all in on this, no, not going to happen. If I had 100,000, I might put 10 in, but I'm not going all in on one of these stocks here, because they're well, Bird Construction is not really, in my mind, a top end stock with consistency, just because of the industry has got a lot of ups and downs. 3% yield, yeah, that's pretty good. Earnings per share is 180, but that can sometimes dip, so that's questionable. Where NPI is power, which is pretty stable in Canada, so chances are that's pretty good. But its earnings per share is actually negative right now, and I don't like buying negative earnings per share. That is always a question mark for me. So I feel like that was why the drop happened, because it over dropped. I feel like, yeah, there was some kind of ability to jump in, but the yield's 4.79, which is decent. So even if they cut their yield to help their earnings per share, I felt there was room here. Anyways, that's kind of what it is. But in basically watching the stocks, checking out where they've come from, where they went to, what their past was. So if we go to the 5-year, I mean, you can see Northland Power has kind of been dropping over 5 years. So it's like, how much further is this stock going to go, right? So it could have gone a lot further, but I bought and sold. I bought 4 times, sold 3 times. So I've one that's kind of maybe not going to go, but that's part of it. And I do have, Bird Construction. I do have a dividend if I end up holding it for long term. And right now I'm only holding 1 share. So it's not a lot. I didn't have the turnover from yesterday that I had from the day before. Yesterday's cash flow was like $300. Today's cash flow was 50, I think. Not very much. Anyways, so that's it. So those are my stocks of the day. I do have a link below if you want to sign up for WealthSimple, if you're needing a new broker. If you're trading in Canada, no fees for Canadian stocks and ETFs right now. Check out their fee structure so you know exactly how it will affect you when you're trading, whatever type of thing you're trading. All right, so that's it. We'll see you tomorrow for the stock of the day.